Hello and welcome back to Scale to Exit. I am Alejandra Santos, your hostess for the platform, and thank you so much for coming here and tuning in to all of our experts. Today, I'm very excited. I am bringing you in a very insightful conversation with the founder that exited his business, and he also has other businesses going on. So we're going to talk about that. But before we dive in, I want to thank all of you that you're here tuning in into Scale to Exit. Scale to Exit is the podcast where we bring experts like consultants, M&As, brokers, advisors, VCs, private equities, you name it, founders that exited their business, business owners, working capital solutions to help you really build a business that you can actually scale it for an exit. So thank you so much for coming in here into this platform and tuning in. If you're new to the podcast, welcome, welcome, welcome. We love to have you. And if you are been here before, thank you again for stopping by. For everybody here, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Subscribe, please, to the podcast. We are we are playing in all the platforms. We are on Spotify, iTunes, and Apple, and also on YouTube. So go ahead to your platform of choice, tune in, subscribe, and drop me a comment. I would love to hear from you. If you have somebody in mind that you would like me to interview, please drop me a note and we're going to go and make sure we get this person into the podcast for you. So, with that being said, I am going to talk about our guest today. I'm so excited to bring in Colin McIntosh because he is a serial founder entrepreneur who took his eco-friendly bedding brand Sheets and Giggles from a crowdfunding campaign to over 1 million a month in sales. He also co-founded and exited a sustainability startup called Dirt Cheap Compost and now runs sheetsresume.com, which is an AI-powered resume builder helping thousands of job seekers every month, all while staying deeply committed to sustainability, impact, and community. So, in this conversation, Colin shares what it really takes to scale, the emotional reality of building a brand, how to hire aligned people, and what scaling to exit means in both business and life. We also unpack some really spicy truths about AI, capitalism, politics, and building with integrity. And yeah, you do not want to miss this one. So, I do want to say for everybody that's listening, please um, make sure that you tune in for the full episode. And yeah, I can't wait for you to let me know your feedback. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring him in, and I will see you on the other side. Well, thank you so much, Colin, for being in Scale to Exit podcast today. I am so excited to share your journey. I mean, you are a serial entrepreneur with some serial ambition, with an exit under your belt. And I can't wait to share that with everybody. First of all, you're known as the founder of Shits and Giggles, which is a
Hmm.
viral eucalyptus bedding brand that
Yep.
went from like a crowdfunding campaign to $1 million in monthly sales in just 2 years. And then you are also known from the Dirt Cheap Compost, which you also was successfully acquired. And
Hmm.
now you have sheetsresume.com. So my question here is, what drives your passion?
I think it's hard to answer because but the main thing is just the desire to help other people. I think that business is a good vehicle for that. So Sheets and Giggles, we help people sleep through the night. Good sleep is totally transformative to your physical health, your mental health, how you feel in the morning, your aging, your weight. Like sleep is everything. And then with Dirt Cheap Compost, my wife and I, we started a compost business, ended up scaling to picking up about 100,000 pounds of food waste annually, and diverting that from landfills. Food waste is like a huge releaser of methane gas, which is 20 times more potent than CO2 in terms of greenhouse effect. So, like, that was a big passion project for us. We sold that company to Compost Colorado. Um, And then with sheetsresume.com, I used to be a recruiter. And as a recruiter, I saw all these different people who I couldn't help who had all these different problems about, being unemployed or not being able to find a job. And so now, years later, I'm able to use AI to actually change lives en masse with my resume builder, my cover letter writer, my interview practice. And I give it away for free to anyone who can't afford it, which is not my main income. Sheets and Giggles was my main income, and so this is like really just a passion project, but it's really taken on a life of its own. And we have a few thousand users every month, and it's just really awesome to help people on that really broad scale. So everything I do is kind of funneled through like serving other people and making the world a better place.
You're like serving people through sustainability and through making their lives better, getting them a better job.
And
I
making them
feel
laugh. Everything I do is fun. Like that's another driver for me. It's the first thing that popped in my head is like having fun. That's generally the first driver for me. But from a serious, get out of bed in the morning perspective, it's helping other people. And the resume builder, we do have a lot of people who ask us about the energy usage of it because they know that I'm a sustainability freak because of the compost company, because of Sheets and Giggles. Everything we do is sustainable on the bed sheet side. With the resume side, we actually donate 0.5% of every order, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we do it to direct decarbonization and green energy projects. And it ends up offsetting up to about 3,000 times the energy used to create a resume. So unless you're making 3,000 resumes, which I hope nobody is doing, for your own mental health, we're offsetting your energy usage quite a bit with direct investment in green energy and decarbonization. So it's really important. I think every AI project should do that. It's super easy.
And I also read that you're also huge in politics and that you
Mm.
want to run for office at some
Did you,
point.
did you read that? Yeah. One day, I mean, maybe this interview will get played back one day, and it'll be used in an attack ad against me. I don't know.
No. I feel like everything that you're doing is not only causing an impact for people, but also to the environment, and that needs to be celebrated as well. When Shits and Giggles came into place, you took it from a crowdfunding campaign to $1 million in sales. What, going back to that why, I mean, how did you get the confidence to launch a product in such a competitive category?
Well, you have to be kind of crazy as a founder, and you also have to be really clear about your goals. So for me, I didn't want to build a big business. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to make $3,000 a month, and I wanted to eat pasta, pay my rent, and tell everybody else to just leave me alone. And that was really what I wanted to do. I'd been fired 3 times in my career or laid off. I hated working for other people, and I was a terrible employee. And after I got laid off for the third time at 27, I had chased startups. I'd moved around the country. I'd Connecticut, Seattle, Denver. Um, I just decided that like I had had 5 years experience. I had learned a lot. I felt really good about building my own consumer brand in a big boring space and standing out very in a differentiated way versus everybody else. And so that's what I did. And I would say that it was the confidence I got came from a particular area of privilege where I'm actually really grateful to say my worst case scenario is like going back to Seattle and working at Amazon, right? Or like working at Microsoft or working at Boeing or Start. Like there's a million companies back in a city that I lived in that I loved with friends that I love where I could leave Colorado and just go do that. In if that's your worst case scenario to go make 6 figures at a great company in a great city, you should start your own company because you have no downside. And I think that when people realize that their worst case scenario is their current case scenario, that's when it can become really galvanizing to go start your own project.
I love that you said that. So you basically said, I quantify what is my worst case scenario. I have the education, the experience.
Right.
It would be coming back to these big guys and work for them, or am I doing that now? What is the cost of continue doing this right now or doing my own company, right?
It would be, yeah, and it's a huge, and it's such a wonderful thing to be able to say. Like, not everybody has that. Like, not everybody has the background, the education, the financial security, like these different things that really make good entrepreneurs. And you know, it's funny. There's like a joke of like, do you want your founder to drive a Lamborghini? I don't drive a Lamborghini. I put my life savings in the Sheets and Giggles when I started it, and it was, you know, I was 27. I had like 50 grand in life savings, right? So like I put everything into it. Startups is not very lucrative in your 20s. And but most people don't have that. Most people, I think most Americans don't have. I think $500. Like 50% of Americans don't have $500 to put into a checking account or an emergency. So like for me, it was almost like what a waste of ability to not do something of my own. It felt almost like and you know, and I didn't have a wife, I didn't have kids, so like there's other commitments, other things, like so it's really just a perfect storm of factors to create the entrepreneurship launching point. And I don't begrudge anyone for not doing it because, like I said, there's so many different things that you need to have in order to feel comfortable starting your own thing. But for me, it was like, why would I not do this? Like, the worst case scenario is I spend 3 to 6 months, burn some cash, and then go lick my wounds and go get a job somewhere else as somebody in my late 20s. And like, again, it's an incredible worst case scenario. And I recognized how lucky I was.
And some people are so afraid of like the failure part. So
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
what if I go to bankruptcy? Well, I mean, people go to bankruptcy all the time. It's not something that I say that you should do,
Well,
but it's
also, you also shouldn't. The other, you shouldn't spend all your money. Like, I didn't put 50 grand in like immediately, right? Like, I put like 2 grand in, then like a third, then like two more, then you know, then it was 10, and like so over 6 months, like the worst case was I was gonna lose $5,000 or $6,000, right? Like that was like, and if it wasn't working, you have to set up these like checkpoints where you can be honest with yourself. Like, am I gathering emails? Do I have excitement? Are people opening my emails? Do people want to know what I have to say? Are people going to my website? Are they staying on my website? Am I keeping their attention? Are they in, you know, what's the bounce rate? What's the average time on page? Like, these are really important metrics to like understand if you're actually holding people's attention. And then from there, you start to get real sales metrics. How much are they buying? What's the average order value? What are they converting at? What's the repeat purchase rate? And that's how you decide, should I continue on? You don't decide if you should continue on just based on, you know, fear, or you know, if I stop, will people make fun of me, or like I have all this inventory that I need to sell. You should never risk that much. And I think there's really good ways to start a business, especially with AI, where I had to hire a photographer, videographer, copy, customer care. You know, I had to write all my own copy initially because I couldn't afford a copywriter. I had to hire an email person. Like now, it's just that's all AI. Like, and it's for better and for worse, right? I mean, I think about all my friends who are graphic designers, copywriters, customer care people who are terrified right now, and they should be, frankly. And it's awful, and my heart breaks for them, and I see it on the resume side all the time. I get a ton of inbound leads of people who have been laid off because of AI, but at the same time, they now have the ability, if they want, that they've never had before, to start their own company. And I think that like you can build a website, you can build software, you can build logos, you can build graphics, videos. I just saw an ad today for IKEA on Instagram that blew my mind. It was a one really cool, like it was an AI generated ad. It was an IKEA box, and it exploded into a whole bedroom with a bed and like a beautiful mattress made like in a cabinet. And I was like, what an incredible concept. Like that would have cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. And so you actually now have this incredible leveling of the playing field where anyone in any agency can make multi-million dollar advertisements without any actors, videographers, scriptwriters, directors, scene, location, studio props. And so it is like this reduction of work, but it's this amplification of ability. And I'm trying to figure out if that's a net positive or a net negative, but I think it'll all shake out in 5 or 10 years.
I know I always hear like it could be positive or negative. You hit
I'm
1
both.
million in sales. Yeah, people.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
both.
you hit 1 million in sales, and you are in consumer goods, and I know
Mm,
how stressful that is because I
it
work with those
sucks.
clients. Yeah.
how did you scale to 1 million? What were the pain points that you were navigating? And I'm assuming you had some pain points in inventory, supply chain, cash flow.
Yep. You hit all of them. So there's inventory, supply chain, cash flow, logistics, freight, shipping, storage, packaging, production errors, sewing errors. We one time we printed 10,000 boxes upside down. So that sucked. Yeah, we still packaged them anyways. We it was like an oops all berries type of thing. We were like, oh, like all doodles, like the packaging was inside out, like so it was, there's been so many different problems over the years. And 18 months after I shipped our first box, COVID happened. And so, we were doing maybe a couple $100,000 a month at that point, and we really felt like we were getting our feet under us. We had um, we our first three Q1s went 200,000, 750,000, and then 2.1 million, I think. And it was just, like, and so that type of jump was so, and that was 2021 was our third Q1. Um, and that was so hard to do during COVID, during like that growth, that supply chain crunch. Um, and there were crazy problems. Like I got phone calls where we were supposed to get a shipment of containers into Savannah, and they couldn't get into the port because the ships were backed up for weeks, and they had to bring the ship and go bring back to Asia, to India. And so they just dropped my shit off in the Bahamas. And like they called me and they were like, "Hey, your goods are in Freeport," and I was like, "What? What do you mean my goods are like?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, and you just have to find the money to get your goods from the Bahamas to a U.S. port of entry. Wait even more. Like our factory shut down for 90 days. Like we ran out of all of our best sellers. We deal with it even now. I mean, we're out of some of our best sellers right now. Like you're constantly chasing cash for inventory and constantly chasing inventory for cash. And um, truthfully, I think there needs to be a lot more support for innovative new products, because I think that it's really daunting for anyone to come up with the business plan, brand. It's a crazy fool's errand to like come up with like a brand new brand, a brand new product, like package it, create it, build enough inventory to sell, bring it to market, store it, build a website, compete for eyeballs on the internet, like do advertising, get people to convert, have happy customers, great reviews. And the only people who seem to like really win in this space over the long term are very large companies, very large manufacturers who have lots of different fake brands that they build for. And then very large companies like Walmart, Amazon, Google. There's a lot of consumer products, Microsoft, Meta with their video games. Like it seems to be very hard for small companies to really stand out. And it makes me kind of sad, because I think a lot of innovation comes from small companies, but there's just no support for small companies and startups, especially in consumers. There was a venture capital ecosystem for it. Now it's basically gone.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you. It's hard to get a VC money now because of the whole AI and the tech, how it's evolving.
well, there's definitely a shiny object syndrome with the AI stuff. I remember when all the VC money was sprinting towards Web3.
Mm.
But the other problem is that interest rates have changed. So if you can get 5 to 10% very safely, just kind of sitting there, why would you give money to a venture capital firm as an LP or a GP? And so the IRR demands of venture capital have gone from 15% a year to maybe 20, 25% a year. And that's a fundamental difference between tripling the fund and 5xing or 6xing the fund over 7 years. And so the venture capitalists are also only looking for home runs now. I think I raised money back in 2018, 2019, when you could raise money by pitching, this is a double, this is a single, this is not a home run, this is like a good company. You can't do that anymore. It would be impossible to raise money now with that.
So do you think that because the CPGs always have been hard, it's always been very challenging of the industry to raise money, but do you think that it's gonna get better in the near future, at least maybe in the near future, if we incorporate some kind of tech element into the CPG company. What's the secret sauce?
Well, I mean, you can use AI for your customer care, and it works really well. I mean, LLMs are very good at words, right? So you can use AI for your customer care. It saves some money, saves some time, increases your customer care. How good you are and how fast you can respond to people. You can use AI for your images. You can get off the ground a lot easier. You can use like bed sheets. Who's going to know if I use AI for my bed sheets? It looks identical to a photographer. For video concepts, you can make something in days or seconds that would take, months in order to execute on. And then you can put it on YouTube, have a million views if you have an audience. And so and, there's a lot more community building now. There wasn't any when I was, there was some community building in the 2010s, but now it's all about really owning your community, owning their attention, commanding their attention. And so with the resume business, I do a lot more community building where I have my own subreddit, Sheets Resume. I have my own YouTube channel, and our email list grows every day, and so we kind of use those to feed into each other. Whereas with Sheets and Giggles, it's a little more transactional because we're constantly trying to sell more products. So the emails definitely don't feel so much community as. And honestly, I never had the taste for it. I didn't want to build a community with a bed sheets brand. It just felt inauthentic to me. Like everyone knows I want them to buy more shit. So like I'm not going to like be like, hey fam, here's a founder minute with Colin. Like, no, like I don't think they want to hear from their backpack company. I don't think they want to hear from their toilet paper company or their toothbrush company. I think they just want good, sustainable, quality products at an affordable price, and then fuck off. And so I like with Sheets and Giggles, I haven't been able to build the same community, but the resume builder has been awesome, and the compost business was great too. And I definitely feel like I've scratched this itch of getting to know people in a very deep way on the resume builder and on the compost side. Sheets and Giggles, I definitely I'd reach out to people through social media. I would answer questions in the customer care inbox. I answered comments on social media myself for the first 5 or 6 years. So I definitely had that one-on-one connection with people, but not the same way I do when I'm really helping them with something very meaningful.
So it's a more of an emotional touch that you have with Shit's resume than obviously with Shits and Giggles, right?
Yeah,
Is
I mean, yeah, sorry, I didn't cut you off. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Do you think that AI is the reason why communities are so much stronger now is because also the emergence of AI is causing all of this?
I think that there's a real uncanny valley of online interaction where you don't know if the person who's speaking to you behind the camera is AI or not.
Mm,
And that's kind of fucked up. And I think I think the humans aren't ready for that. When you look into an AI video's eyes, I think it's very I don't want to say demonic because I'm not religious, but when I see a picture to video and then the picture starts moving, there's something really dead behind the eyes that is really unsettling for me. And I think that that's the general vibe right now, and that's why they call it dead internet theory, is because the communication, the comments back and forth, the postings, the rants, the videos, the opinions, it's all fake. It can all be fake, and it feels it even if it doesn't feel fake. Just the general vibe is that this is all dead matter. It's not
mm.
living matter, and I think that that's what is driving a lot of people to look for safe harbors of people they can trust and communicate with. And unfortunately, everybody communicates online now. What I've been trying to do is go in person more to different places, bars, coffee shops, kava bars. I've been meeting a lot more people in person. I've been sponsoring in-person events, sponsoring bingo nights and trivia nights, and that's actually been really cool, and I think really beneficial for my brands to sponsor more in-person events.
Yeah, I love the event building, the community building part of it. I'm also getting more active on that side as well because I do feel like, especially in Dallas, there's so much growth and hunger for it. more than where I just came from Los Angeles. Talk to me about Dirt Cheap Compost because you exited that business, and I want to know how was your journey on that exit side.
It was wonderful. It was a quick journey. My wife and I, she was a real estate agent who had an eco-friendly homes podcast. I was an entrepreneur in an eco-friendly homes business. She asked me to be on the interview for her podcast. We met up for a pre-podcast drink, hit it off, and we decided that that was our first date. And then we did the interview, and then we went on a second date, and then it was really interesting. It was very like I'm very like particular about like personal professional, like I don't
Of
like
course.
to cross those streams because it's risky. But my wife was like, I remember, I'll never forget, she was like, I can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. I was like, all right, cool, let's do that. And so we ended up getting engaged, I think in mid 2022. Yeah, June 4th, 2022. I remember because it's a reverse Fibonacci sequence, 64222246. But she was looking for like something more substantial to do, something more regular than real estate. And our bill for our compost company ended up going up to like $40 a month. And we were like, this is like $500 a year for someone to come pick up our food waste. Like, this is crazy. I bet we can build. So I built a financial model, I built a business plan, I came up with the brand name Dirt Cheap Compost because we were going to compete on price. And sure enough, very quickly we scaled to over 100 customers. And it was a thorn in the side of the other players in Colorado for sure. Like, they were now suddenly competing on price when before it was just they could keep raising their price to anything because they were kind of taking advantage of the goodwill of their customers who wanted to reduce their food waste. And so we did that for about 2 years, hundreds of customers, and it was a small scale exit. It was still meaningful though, and we ended up moving out of Colorado. So it was a really nice kind of like wrap up where we were like, all right, we're going to continue our service. We're going to sell to one of the larger composters, Compost Colorado. Shout out to them; they're awesome. They're going to grandfather our prices in, so you're going to stick with your price. And they're going to give you enhanced services and more services than we could ever give you as a husband and wife combo. And then I ended up becoming an advisor at the company, and now we have a small equity stake in the company. And so to do something like that is very fun. You kind of like bully your way into owning a piece of a competitor. So that was cool. So and now our hard work lives on in their monthly revenue, and we have a piece of that success. So that's cool.
And it's also a very romantic story about you guys. And I imagine that every product in your home is eco-friendly, right?
More or less. We really, I saw a video the other day that the average cadaver brain now has 7 grams of microplastic in it. So when they liquefy a cadaver brain, what's left, they pick out the microplastic and they put it together, and it's equivalent to about a plastic spoon or a plastic fork's worth of microplastic in your brain. It's because the brain accumulates microplastic more than any other organ. And it's, when you bite off a straw wrapper, or you eat your food too fast, and there's some or like these little bits of plastic, and they break apart cells, and dementia patients have 10 times the microplastic concentration of non-dementia patients. So I think we're going to see years from now that it's all come back to oil and petroleum and oil-based synthetics like that are plastics. And I think that that's going to be our number one, like, what the fuck moment in the future of like, we gave ourselves Alzheimer's, dementia,
Mhm.
massive cancer rates,
Yeah.
all to bag our shit in plastic, like all for convenience. And it's crazy. Like, it's not even that much more convenient. Um, so yeah, so we do glass pans and pots instead of nonstick PFAs. We do wooden spatulas instead of the coated silicone and the plastic. We stuff like that. And when we bought a house together, it was low VOC paints, and electrified, and all the tankless water heater and all that stuff. So solar panels and the whole nine. Yeah, yeah. Solar panels, 5% of U.S. GDP growth, by the way. So it's big business, and anyone who wants to get rid of solar is just kind of a fucking idiot. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, you can quote me on that one. So,
Okay, so I'm seeing your values now. How was it like with, hiring people as you were scaling so fast? How can you find people that are like, I am assuming that you guys share the same values, sustainability. Uh, you talk to me about the hiring the right people.
yeah, so I used to be a recruiter. So as a recruiter, I had the ability to write really compelling job descriptions. I know where to search for people, right? Like where people look for startup jobs, how to find people who value working at smaller companies. I recruited for big companies. I recruited for small companies, Fortune 100 startups. And so I kind of knew, okay, here, like there's different parts to recruiting. There's the scoping. So there's the building of the job
Hmm.
and like understanding who you're going to speak to and why you're going to speak to them. Then
Hmm.
there's the sourcing, which is actually finding the candidates. Then there's the screening, which is making sure they're qualified candidates. Then there's the interviewing, and then the negotiation, offer, onboarding.
Hmm.
And so the last few parts of that are pretty easy and self-explanatory. The first few parts of it, the scoping, the sourcing, and the screening, take up like 95% of the time in recruiting, and it's very, very hard. And so for me, I just knew that I'm looking for funny people who care about the earth, who want to make the world a better place, who don't take themselves too seriously, who are not going to get in a big fight at work if their work gets called into question, who are going to be dispassionate about the task, focus on the goal. And so I really wrote that in the job description. I think that you just tell people what they're getting into, and honest people will respond really well to that. They'll be like, "Okay, I understand. I believe this guy." And we got great applications. We got great referrals from our initial employees. We hired people who were at other consumer brands in Colorado who came very highly recommended. Um, and everybody was funny. Everybody, like, that's the thing about our company, is that everyone who's worked with us has been hilarious, and that's been great because I feel like we could write for Seinfeld together. Um, and then now with the resume business is actually quite interesting. Now I have this conduit of resumes and thousands of people every month. I think actually over 10,000 people a month. And we're actually going to build a rudimentary ATS to like sort their resumes. And I'm going to use it for my own purposes for hiring people. Like if I need to hire someone, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to my repository of resumes. I have something that no other business owner has, which is his own ATS system. It's awesome. And then in the future, we might turn that loose for other companies as well to hire people. And I think our applicants would love that because I think that they're all hungry for jobs. So I kind of want to build like a trusted job site where it's like only companies that I personally approve of and like have investigated, I will allow to advertise jobs to our candidates. So that's kind of where I'm headed with it.
You're sitting on a big asset because the hardest thing when starting a business and throughout the whole journey is hiring the right people.
Right.
So if people go to sheetsresume.com, is that the kind of support that you give them, like how to hire the right person, train them, onboard them?
Well, we don't do anything for the company. So I'm torn between right now. All we do is for the candidate. We help the candidate build their resume, write their cover letter,
Mhm.
practice their interviews, and we do that in a way that's actually helpful. Most resume builders and most AI resume builders are full of shit because they're created by software engineers who, no offense, have never been a recruiter. They're usually created by people who are trying to make a buck,
Mhm.
and they will give you this is the tell for anyone listening who's, should I hire a resume builder, should I pay for a resume builder? Here's the tell: if they have more than one template, more than one option, more than one format, they're lying to you. They don't know what works, and they are willing to let you shoot yourself in the foot if you're more likely to convert as a customer.
Mhm.
Because mathematically, there is one resume template, one, that they should know of based on their expertise that outperforms every other visual, every other order, every other setup, every other format, every other wording. And by letting you select from, would you like 2 columns or four, blue or green, stars or stripes, doodles, graphics, like they will let you put your face on the resume, and they'll let you do that because they're selling you sneakers. They're not selling you something that's actually going to help you. They're just letting you sink time and emotional energy and personalization into the template, and that way you're more likely to actually convert as a consumer versus a candidate. And so for us, we have one format and we make you use it, and we don't give you any option to choose from. And people, they email me and they're like, hey, I would buy this, but you don't give me options to I'm like, yeah, because I know it works. You don't. Take my advice and help yourself. And I even tell people, I will give it to you for free. Just do not shoot yourself in the foot and use this other bullshit product over here who's promising you the world. And so that's the tell is if they have more than one format.
Okay, wow, that's a really good.
Sorry, a
Yeah,
bit of a rant.
I love it. I love it.
People. If I can say one more thing, I'm
Yeah,
so
please.
passionate about this space, the recruiting and job candidate space, because there are so many snake oil salesmen out there. Because people are at their most desperate moment right now when they're looking for a job. They don't have an income. They don't have health care in the United
Mhm.
States, which is a unique cruelty. Their families don't have health care. Their children don't have health care. They may not be able to make rent, and they're freaking out about what they're going to. And as the work gap stretches on, they get more and more anxious about having this long work gap on their future resume. And so it's an anxiety inducing, lonely process. And there are so many predators in this space who will take advantage of people. And I've seen it before as an entrepreneur in the crowdfunding space. It's very similar. There's a lot of entrepreneurs who are excited about their future products and who believe they can do anything, and people will take their money, promise them the world, and deliver nothing. And so I'm very passionate about helping people in this space with something real.
So talk to me about the crowdfunding experience, and I definitely can feel the passion, which I really love. But talk to me about that. Like, how can people navigate that scammy
It,
industry?
So there's only one crowdfunding agency that I would trust, and it's the one that I worked with. I had met him prior. His name is Will Russell. Shout out to Will. And basically, what I would say is you need to evaluate your crowdfunding partners not on what their pricing is, or you need to evaluate them based on how much time they give you in the evaluation process and how much energy they put into and attention they put into your vision and your project up front without asking for payment. If they say, like, Will flew out to Colorado from New York, had lunch with me, whiteboarded with me all day, and yeah, he went skiing. You know what I mean? Like, he went skiing that weekend. He came back to New York. Like, it was a fun trip for him. But he made time to visit me and whiteboard with me before he ever asked me for a single dollar. And he said, hey, I'm going to do some research. I'm going to get back to you. He came back to me with a full report, and he said, I think that we can do about $140,000, which is about half of what we ended up doing. We did $284,000. But I remember he said, and if I take about 10%, which is $14,000,
Mhm.
plus an initial $5,000 fee, it'd be $19,000 total. Over 6 months, that's about $3,000 a month.
Mhm.
And I think that's a pretty reasonable rate for the work. So this is what I can do with you. And that level of explanation is what you need to be looking for. And you need to be very, don't work with people that are like, yeah, it's a $2,000 onboarding fee. It's an $800 onboarding fee. You set up on our platform, you'll type in your information. Our team will evaluate it and get back to you after you're onboarded. That's snake oil. They're gonna take your $800 and you'll never see them again. And so, and this happened to me. I actually even got taken advantage of, even though I was working with Will. There was another agency who said that they would work with me because they saw our initial success. And they said, hey, what we do is we spend it's such bullshit in hindsight. I'm so mad I fell for it. They said we spend our own money on advertisements. And what we do is we take 50% of every sale and you keep the other 50%. But you don't have to spend any money on advertising, and we'll spend all our money in advertising. You already have the page set up, you have the product set up, you get the brand set up. We know Facebook advertising. We will run ads to your page. And in order to get started, we need to spend our team's time on building the ads, building the images, building the copy. So if you pay us $2,000 an onboarding fee, we'll start spending advertising, driving traffic to their page. And I gave them 2,000 bucks. I think they ran about $120 worth of advertisements. They said, "Hey, we're not seeing the ROI that we need, so we're going to cut the program." And they cut the program. They took my money, and I never heard from them again. And so there's endless people like that out there.
Yes, yes, I know a lot of accelerator groups that are not very credible as well, that they promise you the world and they don't really mentor you, and people are like, okay, so what do I do now? How was your experience with Techstars Boulder?
Techstars is awesome. I love Techstars. I would recommend Techstars to any entrepreneur looking for legitimate, serious support. And Techstars is going through some growing pains. They've like gotten rid of the Boulder program. They've re-added the Boulder program. They've focused on New York. They've split from New York. Like they're a Colorado company. I think for them, they have to stay true to their roots and really focus on the Boulder and Denver programs. But they have programs in cities all across the country and across the world. They have Miami, London, Detroit, Kansas City, Abu Dhabi. They've got programs everywhere.
Mhm,
And their mission is to build up startup communities in ecosystems that do not have that startup ecosystem,
mhm,
and they've been wildly successful. They've totally transformed the ecosystem in almost everywhere that they have touched.
mhm,
And I went there in 2015 with my previous company, where I got laid off in 2017 from. Really great experience, even though it was pretty emotionally difficult. And then I went through Techstars in 2019, also the Boulder program, this time as founder and CEO of Sheets and Giggles. And both times they were very different experiences, but very similar in a lot of ways, and just learned a lot and love my time at Techstars. I mentor there still. I mentor companies every year in the program, and I can't recommend that enough to entrepreneurs.
So you've done digital products and then you've done physical products. Which ones do you like the most? Digital or physical?
I mean, Uh, I love physical products because they're real, and I love delivering something real
Yeah.
where I can see it and I can touch it, and the customer can use it and send us a picture of it. And it's like that did not exist, and then because of your imagination and your work, it exists. That's really cool. Um, the digital products have way better margins, and they're way easier to deliver. And if you fuck up, you can just correct your mistake,
Yeah.
and you can just send a patch of code, and like so. I would say that I'm glad that I cut my teeth on physical products. I will probably only focus on digital products in the future, because I think unless you have an owned manufacturing arm, your own factories, your own supply chain, your own warehouses,
Mhm.
if I really think it's hard to create a company, a brand where you don't own those things. And that's what I did. I didn't own the factories. I just rented the machines basically, and that is hard. And so I'd highly recommend locking down your supply chain before you get started, or stay away from consumer, because it is bad. It's tough, and you do everything right, and then worst pandemic in 100 years. Like, good, like, enjoy. And I think that anyone will tell you that, retailers, doctors, offices, like, it's not just, woe is me on the consumer side. Like, everybody was hit pretty hard, but like, it's crazy that you can still do everything right, and then some massive disaster come along. And then, with the tariff situation right now, that's the same thing. I have buddies who started their companies in 2010, 2011, right? Imagine that. You're 25 years old, and you've graduated college in the worst job market in the history of the United States since the Great Depression.
Hmm.
You somehow start a company in 2010, 2011 at the bottom of the job market, the bottom of the recovery. You build slowly, and you work your ass off through Obama's second term, through Trump's first term, through Biden's term. You build for 10, 12, 15 years. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes in and unilaterally says, without the consent of your representatives or anyone else, by the way, your cost just went up by 145%. Your cost just went up by 26%. Your cost just went up by 10%. That is so much bullshit. And it drives me absolutely crazy that to hear, not to get overly political, but to hear conservatives in my life argue with me, who was trained by an economist who worked with Milton Friedman and Ronald Reagan's fucking administration, who's run a global supply chain for a decade, who has friends facing bankruptcy because they can't come up with the cash to get their inventory from port. It drives me crazy to have to argue the conservative position on this to conservatives about free trade. And so it's been a nightmare to navigate this ecosystem in 2025.
Yes, no, I mean, I remember the day with the COVID, I had clients as well where container prices shoot from like $6,000 to like $25,000, and you couldn't
I
even
saw
get
some for
it.
$30,000 contain. I saw $30,000 containers. It was crazy. It was crazy, and that was something that you just had to and we got PPP help, like we got help from other places, like we you reach out to any help that you can get, and it was I actually give Trump a lot of credit for the PPP and other things like and then Biden did the employee retention credit, which was huge for small businesses. So there's been some support for sure over the years. But it's been the last 5 years. It's been so hard. It's been brutal. So I like digital products. To answer your question, that's what I'll be focused on
Okay,
if I
so
can.
what is the worst pitch you've ever gave?
That I've ever given.
Yeah.
I've given a lot of bad pitches. I mean, in terms of ideas that I have a lot of funny ideas. I would say that my favorite bad pitch, like a movie that's so bad it's good, is Giraffe Carafe. So I own giraffecarafe.com, and I carafe, pitcher, and I want to do a carafe in the shape of a giraffe. That's you actually can pour water out of it and have it on your table, and so I own giraffecarafe.com, and I will do something with it one day. And then I also own Plandles, so like it'd be a candle with a plan. So it's a candle that's wax candle. That the bottom of it is a layer of soil with seeds, and when you finish the wax, you pull the tin foil, the tin bottom out, and you water the soil, and a plant grows in the glass. And so it's a Plandle is a candle with a plan. So.
And this candle can survive anything, like no water. Like it's just...
I don't know. But it's all I know is that I can see it in my head, and I own Plandles.com, and I think it's a really funny business idea where it's like it's very cute, it's very Instagram, right? You can see
Yeah.
the candle burns down and then a plant grows up. You know what I mean? Like it's very visual. So if anybody out there wants to start Plandles.com, let me know, or Giraffe Craft. I will
I
sell
love
both those
it.
domains. Please God, buy those domains for me, somebody.
I'll put it in the show notes because they're very creative. I know what you do in your time off.
I buy
So
domains with my time. That's my hobby. I just got a bill the other day for $220 for my domains, and I was like, oh my god, I can't keep doing this.
okay, what is something that you would tell the younger Colin that you know now about scaling and business creation?
Um, Getting older really sucks. Like it hurts. It hurts so much. I'm 35, and I'm in so much pain all the time because of my herniated disc. And I would say to continue your health focus. Like, don't sacrifice your daily routine in your water, in your working out, in your food, just to sprint. And I try to do that now. I really do, but it's so tempting to just work until 4 a.m. every night. Well, my wife goes to sleep, and it's 11 o'clock, and I'll just open the laptop and I'll just work. And then I'll sleep from like 4 to 8, 4 to 9, and feel like shit the next day. And you can't do it. You can't do it forever. So I would definitely tell myself, like, the work will be there in the morning. And that's probably the biggest thing I would tell myself.
That's really good, especially when you were scaling to like millions of dollars in revenue so quickly, right? I imagine that definitely. did
It plays a
something.
role. Yeah, it plays.
Mhm.
I gained 30 pounds. And now I'm on another one where I've been on a sprint recently. I moved to Miami 6 months ago with my wife. So moving cross country, selling the compost business, running Sheets and Giggles, the resume builder at midnight, and then uh, being with my family more down here. I'm from down here. Uh, it's been really interesting to see myself in the sprint again at 35, and I can't do it like I did when I was
Mhm.
27, 28, 29. I can't do it. Like it's like an athlete. Like I was in my prime and I still gained 30 pounds, and now I'm 35 and I've got a disc problem, now I'm like, okay, I can't do this. Like I need to have a disciplined work schedule, or I'm just not going to survive much longer doing it.
So yeah, for me, health always definitely comes first, especially when you're running so many businesses. You have to put yourself first.
Yeah.
What is one thing? What is one key metric that you would tell people to live by?
A key metric?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say there's any metric you should live by. Like in terms of business,
business.
live or by die by. Probably like your customer satisfaction score. So just like your
Mhm.
reviews. I think that
Yeah.
that is everything. Like if you are going to be successful, you have to have a great product score. You can't fool people into buying from you twice. And so that's the number one thing I'd live by is how satisfied are my customers.
And that's why you're doing the community and you're actually connecting with them through customer service as well. So that speaks loud.
Sure, the
Yeah.
customer service is a big piece, but like, it's also like um how good the product is. Like that's your
Mhm.
ultimate rating. Like
Mhm.
I bought from companies who have terrible customer care, but I'll buy from them again because their products are so good. And then I bought from companies who had a terrible product, but great customer service, great marketing, spiffy brand. I'll never buy from them again because the
Mhm.
product's no good. So
Mhm.
I still think the end all be all is the product, and I think that you can't fool people twice.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. So how did you came up with this? Okay, so eucalyptus, where you get your materials from? I'm sure that you get everything from not China, somewhere else.
I do honestly. When I was 27, when I started the company, I remember telling my director of product that I only wanted to work with democratic countries, and so we sourced everything from India, but our trees come from India, Canada, Austria, um, a couple other locations, and it's a complex global supply chain. And we try to use trees that are only grown on farms, never natural forests,
Hmm.
which is better anyway. It's a much better product. And we use like rubber for our mattresses. We use rubber trees grown in South America, and we just take the sap from the tree, and the tree continues to live. And the cool thing about tree farms is that they're actually like a big carbon sink because eucalyptus trees, I think they need about 7 years or so before they reach maturity, most for the species that we use. And we don't use any endangered species or anything, but you grow them for years, decades, right? Christmas trees are a huge carbon sink. I didn't realize, like, you think about the context of cutting down a tree and putting it in your living room, and you're like, that has to be bad for the environment. Actually, it's a tremendous thing for the environment because the Christmas tree farms are massive with like hundreds of millions of trees. And then they have to grow for 20 or 30 years to maturity, and they sink carbon that whole time, and then they are cut down and they're put into the home. And so they're actually like really so I love that about our supply chain. And then we do things in America. We have our pillows made in Denver with formerly incarcerated Coloradans, pay them a living wage, reduces homelessness, reduces recidivism. And then we do our mattress in Phoenix, and we make our mattress out there. So we with American steel and American latex. So
You thought about making an impact everywhere. through the whole process of creating a product and a digital product. Like that's
Yeah, it's tiring. It's really
remarkable.
it's tiring. It's really it's like I'm beat. I'm spent. But yeah, it's really cool. It's you know, if I'm gonna make a pillow, sure, like let's because it's not. I hate to say it this way because it is skilled labor.
Yeah.
All labor is skilled in some way. But like you know, if anyone can stuff a pillow, and if you can work with someone who's been incarcerated, maybe for addiction, maybe for a DUI, maybe for something that they've done that was a mistake, and you can give them a great brand to put on their resume and begin to build a resume for them with that manufacturing experience. You pay them 17, 18 bucks an hour. It allows them to live, you know, a decent life outside of Denver. And you know, we have people who have reconnected with family, who have bought their own condo. You know, people who have changed their lives through that program, and that's what Mile High Workshop in Denver. They're amazing. They do great work. Again, I'm not religious. They're a religious organization, but you know, I grew up working with Catholic organizations in South Florida, and you know, I never let my own personal views like stop me from working with someone, and so their emails are a little heavy sometimes. I hope Adrienne never sees this. She's great. Their director. They're like bless you for your doing it. I'm like I appreciate it. You know, you just say things, but I do love working with them. They're awesome.
Okay, so what does scaling to exit mean to you?
Um, I think that like when I started the company, I really wanted to be bought by Purple. Actually, that's why our brand colors were purple. It's why we were funny, zany. I really respected their company. I thought their ads were so funny, and they were in Utah and we were in Colorado and close enough. And I ended up connecting with them and their CEO, and you know we kind of hit it off and we talked about it a little bit, but never really materialized. So I think that like when I think scaling to exit, what I hear is build a company that somebody else can't live without, like really needs. And I think about that with like there's a story about this company called Eat 24. I don't know if you ever remember them. They were one of the early food service apps, and they were designed to be Yelp's food delivery service because they had all these restaurants and they had no food delivery service, and for some reason. And so the founder of this company literally was like, we are going to build Yelp's food delivery system outside of Yelp. We're going to start with the 50 top rated restaurants in every city on Yelp. We're going to build it off the Yelp API. We're going to match their red colors and their fonts and their like, and then eventually you had these two apps on your phone, Yelp and Eat24, like, and they were literally like the same company. And then eventually Yelp bought them, and it was just so targeted. And I think that that's what I hear is like build something that somebody can't live without, build something that's a problem for somebody if they don't buy you. And if you scale enough where you're a thorn in somebody's side and you're taking millions of dollars out of somebody's pocket, they're going to want you to go away. And the best way for you to go away is to come inside the house. So that's what I think.
Like what you did with their sheep compost, right?
Correct. Yeah,
From
the first email we got from the founder of Compost Colorado. He's a great guy. He's a big friend of mine at this point, and he he was like, "Hey, Colin and Madison. So like, have a lot of respect for what you guys are doing, but we would love it if you guys would like consider shutting down the business seriously because we're losing a lot of customers." You guys, and it was like such a nice email like telling us to like please like stop doing this passion project. He's like you know like I get it, it's just you guys, and you guys are clearly very motivated people, and like you know, but like we got a whole company over here with people whose like salaries. But I'm like, yeah, look, let's talk. Like let's talk about this. So that was funny. So I think that that was definitely an example of scaling to exit of like you know you start out and people are like, oh, that's cute, you know, it's funny, and it's like, holy shit, they're making how much money? And it's like, oh wow, they've built a really great brand, and then it's you know let's bring them into the fold. And so I hope to do that one day with Sheets and Giggles. I hope to give it a great long term home. And then I'd love to. I'd probably the resume business. I think I'll never sell that one. Mostly because it needs me to make sure that no one ever makes it uh like predatory for people. Like I think that it's again very tempting to like raise prices, like be a like we don't do subscriptions or like one time fees. I think it's very tempting for somebody to like buy it and then like try to monetize it like
Mm-hmm.
crazy. But I think that there's I kind of answered this earlier but not directly. There are so many tools out there for employers to, sorry, fuck over candidates. And there are very few tools for candidates to even the playing field with employers. And so I want to be that guy for candidates.
Yeah.
And it sucks because they don't have any money and that's why they get ignored. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to build stuff for them.
That's a very great passion that you have, because it's true. I mean, when I was out there before I started my own business and I was going out there getting a job, it was so predatory, and people put
So it's
you
awful.
in this box too, and you're like, I'm not in this box. Like, I am this person, and it's awful.
It's insulting. It's degrading.
Mhm.
It's dehumanizing. You feel like a metric. You like your whole life. A resume is such a. I really I maybe think about my products too much. Like I think about the sheets. Like it's like torture if you can't sleep. Like sleep deprivation is like literally torture.
Yeah.
And I think about the resume as like this very personal 8 by 11 representation of oneself. Like
Mhm.
it's everything you've ever done
Mhm.
on one piece of paper. It
Mhm.
should be on one piece of paper, by the way. Don't do a 2 page resume. And it's so intensely personal. I get people who are like, I can't leave off that experience. That experience like shaped me. Like it made, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to leave it out. I'm telling you have one bullet point instead of 10
Yeah.
for something that was 15 years ago. So like it's a very emotional document. And then to send that out to places, you're sending yourself
Mhm.
somewhere and to get nothing in return, to get
Mhm.
no response, not even a rejection letter, just an indifference to
Mhm.
your whole life
Mhm.
is, I think, very like traumatic for people, and that's why people hate job hunts so much.
Yeah. It's very, it puts you in a very vulnerable position, and you're right, some people don't even acknowledge you, or they offer you the wrong thing, they put you in the wrong box. Okay, one more question I have for you. If you were
Sure.
at a dinner and you would like to talk to somebody, an idol, a leader, who would that be, and what would you ask them?
Can you believe that I used to say Elon Musk to this question like 5 or 6 years ago? I would kill myself if I was sat at the same dinner table as Elon Musk at this point. No, I he'd be such a bad person to have dinner with. But no, I think at this point I would really love to get dinner, dead or alive, or only alive.
Alive, yeah, alive.
Alive, alive. I would love to get dinner with probably my mind goes to like um people like the founder of Patagonia who like built
Mm-hmm.
this incredibly big business
Mm-hmm.
while like never compromising on anything
Mm-hmm.
sustainability wise. I would love to meet with like have dinner with like the CEO of Google, Sundar, right? Is his name Pichai? I want to ask him what the fuck are you doing? And I mean this like in like the Google has this incredible product search. You can search the whole internet and you can find exactly what you want. And that's what I want from I want to like AI. I don't ChatGPT absolutely. I use it to like answer questions and shit like that. But when I want to find something, I use Google because they've taught me for my whole life find shit with Google. And
Mm-hmm.
that's great. That's what I want. But now they're just putting the AI at the top and they're pushing all their partner websites down and they're destroying their ads and they're destroying their partners and they're destroying their SEO. Whole billion-dollar ecosystems built around their product. And they're doing it out of this incredibly, I think, misplaced fear of open. Like, I think that Google Gemini and AI needs to be its own product. It needs to be its own app, website, to compete directly with OpenAI. And they're doing that with Veo, with their Veo. How you back and say Veo because like Spanish, but like they're doing it with Veo with the videos, and they're doing the videos so well. They're dominating in video production. Just keep doing that and build your AI over here and keep your search over here. But when they mix the two, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna go use OpenAI because it's a better product on the
Mm-hmm.
AI side of things. So I feel like they're speed running the destruction of their core brand promise. And so I would love to get dinner with him and ask him genuinely, like, what is the thinking behind this? Because it's $1 trillion bet, and it's wild to see.
Oh my God. Both dinners will look really great. One, it will tell you about the values that he's doing, and the other one would be like, how are you missing
What
out?
what are you doing? Tell me about your thought process. You're terrible. And I'd probably love to get dinner with like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and all these guys and just ask them like, do you really think the monster won't come for you? That's also what I'd love to ask them. Like, you really think that you can build up this surveillance state, this techno-fascist dystopia, and you really think that you'll be exempt from it? Like, what in history makes you think that it won't eat its own eventually? And that's the monster comes for us all, and that's what I would tell them.
The monster comes for all of us. I love it. Okay, Colin, have I asked you? Okay, before we leave, is there anything that you want to say that I have not asked you?
I know I feel like this has been a really fun interview. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't make it too political. You have a wonderful podcast, and I hope this is still okay for everyone to listen to. But I'm a passionate person, and I appreciate you giving me the ability to express myself. And I just think that if you're an entrepreneur, you're out there, you're working, like, keep your sanity, like, keep telling yourself that this is what you were put on earth to do. I actually really think that that's the older I get, the more I realize that, like, working on something that is fundamentally changing someone's life is like a really important factor in continuing on when the going gets tough. Selling widgets on the internet is great. I'm talented at it. I definitely have the ability to do so. But I really enjoy the more transformative aspect of the resume builder, the career stuff. And so I'm going to keep building in that direction, and maybe one day run for office. So just keep building, and hopefully this podcast has been at least entertaining for
I
some
know. It
people.
was a great, great conversation. And I agree with you. Stick to your why, stick to your passion, be resilient, be transformative, all, and then always scale to exit. That's what I always say. Always scale to exit. Because you're not gonna die with your business. We have to put the babies.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, I thought about that. It's like you build all this, and then, like, where do you put it if you don't sell it? Like, where do you put the business? And that's where family businesses come into play. That's
Mhm,
really gone out of
mhm,
fashion, like that
mhm,
the family business. And so I think because people don't want to, like, impress that upon their kids, they don't want to force their kids to do it, which I totally respect.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, that's definitely gone by the wayside. I actually know someone in his 70s who didn't he doesn't have a son to give his business to, or at least who's not interested in it. He's retiring. He's built a wonderful multi-million dollar local business, and he basically had to either sell it to a private equity group for like a low value versus what he actually thought it was, or he could close up shop. And he decided to sell it to a private equity group and have it continue on in the community. But I found that really sad in like a very like profound way of like you put 50 years of your life into something, and then
mhm.
you get a little retirement money on the end of it. And I respect the hell out of what he's built, and I respect this guy tremendously. So, not trying to be too woe is me, but like it definitely was emotional for him. Like, I saw it was very emotional.
Yeah, that's exactly why my whole passion and purpose and mission is surrounded about helping people like that create a valuable asset before they retire. That's my whole passion around because
You
it's
got to
like
think about it years in advance.
yeah,
Years in
correct.
advance.
Years in
Yeah.
advance, correct. 3 years. Just give me 3 years. That's it. That's all I need. Just three
Definitely,
years and I'm
I know who I'll come to when I'm ready to exit. So
please,
thank you
Colin,
all.
I'm
I
here
appreciate
a
it.
hundred
Yeah.
percent. We can have lots of giggles along the way because I make
Yes.
it
Thank
fun
you.
too. Also, okay, where can people find you before we leave?
I'm not. I say this on every podcast. I'm not really that like prolific on Twitter or LinkedIn. I was like I used to post, and then I actually created an anonymous Twitter account one time, and I got to over 10,000 followers in like 6 months. I just wanted to prove to myself that any asshole with an opinion could get to 10,000 followers, and then I deleted the account after I got to 10,000. And it's just because it's so bad for your mental health. the people that would reply to me, I would just be like, you need to be in an insane asylum. Like you, there. This is like Twitter is like an open air mental asylum, and so people can find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I won't post, and then people can find me on email. They can email me, but and then I do have a podcast that I'm beginning to put more out there for called Sheet Talk. And you can take a look at that, and it is a political podcast, so be warned, it's just me ranting at the camera for 40, 45 minutes. So
I cannot wait to listen to what you say.
good luck. Yeah, I hope you like it. I've only put out a few episodes because I'm honestly terrified of I get a rush from it, but then also it's almost like uh when you have some big decisions to make it and you make it and then you're like terrified that you made it. Like every time I hit post on something, I'm like, shit, like I should unpost that. Like it's like it gives me such anxiety. So I'm starting to try to put my foot out there more, and I'm just telling myself like the people who it'll resonate with will really appreciate it, and the people who it doesn't don't have to listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, and if people want to listen to something and be angry about what I'm saying, I invite them to put out their own thoughts. You know what I mean? And feel free to publish what they think. Nope.
Well, no, thank you so much for coming, calling into the Scale to Exit podcast. I love the conversation, and I also love your passion. It's hard to find that people are speaking their truth now, and they're speaking their truth with so much passion, like you are. So it's very refreshing to hear everything that you had to say and to see everything that you're doing and to see also that you think about creating impact at all kinds of the process and the journey. That's like takes a certain kind of person to do that. So thank you for sharing all of that with us.
Yeah, no, it was a super fun conversation, and I appreciate all the kind words. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'm always happy to take a LinkedIn message or an email, and happy to get back to people.
And I will put you all of that in the show notes, and I am going to link your podcast because I would like to people to visit you more and hear more about your opinions in the political landscape.
Thanks, Alejandro. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin.
All right.
Adiós, muchachos.